All right, well, thank you all for coming today. Again, as I mentioned last month, my goal is to try to update everyone, at least on a monthly basis, on some of our issues that we're having here in the city, as well as answer any questions that anyone might have regarding what we talk about and other things that you still have questions on. I'll be happy to take those at the end. One of the first things I just wanted to let folks know regarding the Chris Ray matter. I know I stood up here a few weeks ago with Mr. Ray to discuss our interest in bringing him back on city employment. I've gotten some calls from the media over the last couple of weeks, and we are, my attorney and his attorney, are meeting and in negotiations on that matter. We do hope to be able to come to some sort of agreement in the coming weeks, and we'll keep you updated as we have that happen and as we come to a conclusion on that matter. I'm really interested in moving the city forward on that and putting that case behind us, but we've got to be able to let our legal team do their job, and so I will again keep you updated as we need to in the coming weeks. One of the issues that has been relatively important and has been talked about a lot has been sales tax. Sales tax is something that I do want to spend a few moments talking about today. It's something that for me as mayor of this city and as someone who looks out working hand in hand with the Common Council on our finances, this is probably one of the most important discussions that we are going to have and have had in the last few years regarding our long-term financial situation here in this city. I want to be able to just spend a few moments just talking about the financial condition of our city and what we have done over the last few years to be good shepherds. There's lots of misinformation out there in the media and amongst our neighborhoods about how we have managed our city funds and what we as a city have done to, be good shepherds. And for us, we went ahead and looked back to 2008 and really spent some time digging into what kind of initiatives we have done over the last couple of years to be able to help save taxpayer dollars, to reinvent how we deliver services to the city of Kingston. So I had our comptroller provide some really good, valuable information to me that I'm going to share some of this with you today to just kind of give you a sense that we are working hard on a daily basis to meet the tax cap, to be able to look at how we do government. And again, this goes back multiple administrations. One of the things that, if you just look at our city budget that was adopted in 2008 and look at the adopted 2016 budget, we have eliminated 63 full-time positions since that time, just 17% of our workforce. That we have shrunk in that period of time, saving, annualized over the period of that time, $4 million, and that's the low end. It's probably more than that, but that's what our comptroller felt comfortable giving to me. That is it's a very large number, and that does not come easy. We have had to make some major changes on how we do business here in the city, both in our Public Works Department, here in City Hall, in Parks and Recreation, and in our police and fire. The cuts that have been made over time have been made, with a lot of, forethought. They've been done in a way to make sure that our city services are delivered. They were well thought out, they were well planned, and it has enabled us as a city to continue to move our city forward and really be able to deliver the services that we need to deliver. And that's just employees. We have done many things in multiple departments to be able to do some relatively major cost savings. Just having a look at just a sample of some of the things that we've done in terms of personnel. We've gone ahead and looked at all of our employee benefits. We've done some initiatives where we've self-funded some of our plans over the years, which have saved us a tremendous amount of money. We've worked with both the local town of Ulster and some of our local communities and the county to be able to share services in various departments, which again has saved us a tremendous amount of money over the years. We have worked very diligently on energy costs. Our energy costs are part of our budget that while the costs have actually gone up, we have worked really hard to reduce our usage. We've also worked to make sure that we are getting the best bang for our buck in terms of the contracts that we're signing for our energy. And so we have saved in various facilities $10,000 here, $15,000 there, 35% energy reduction here, 40% energy reduction there. And over time, that has saved the city a tremendous amount of dollars and has allowed us to stay under the proposed tax cap each and every year since the tax cap was initiated. And I think that that's something that, we haven't said, okay, well, we've done enough. As many of you have been aware, we are working diligently since, I helped author our climate action plan back in 2000, LED streetlights. And it's been a project of mine that I've really been interested in and really wanted to get going. And finally, we are getting to that point where during, this year, we will be having LED streetlights installed. And that is going to save the city almost $300,000 a year over the next couple of years, which these are the kind of cost savings that I think are very important to our community. These are what are going to allow us to meet all of the unfunded state mandates that we have here in this community. And it's something that is going to allow us to stabilize our budgets from year to year, because as you all know as individuals, our costs for things continue to go up at home, whether it's food or your insurance premiums or just buying your clothes. All of these costs have continued to gone up over the years, yet we have been able to do what we can do here in our city to save money. And when you take this information and you juxtapose it against our sales tax issue here in the county, I see an issue. I see that this city needs to be able to have secure sources of revenue to be able to continue through for the next couple of years. And I need to see the county recognize that. And so this past week, the Finance Committee of the Kingston Common Council passed a resolution that I wholeheartedly support, and I will be hopefully being able to sign the memorializing resolution and later this month when they pass it as a full council. But the Finance Committee just this month went ahead and passed a resolution basically stating that be it resolved that the City of Kingston Common Council, that the Ulster County Legislature agree to a 5-year agreement and with no reduction in sales tax. So not reducing our sales tax revenue anywhere from the 11.5%. And I think that that's important because for the next 5 years, the City of Kingston is going to continue to struggle with many mandates that we have and many rising costs, both with pension and health care. And we cannot sustain ourselves with an 11.5 to 10 or whatever the number may be reduction. For the City of Kingston, that equates to about $1.6 million. Which, if you take $1.6 million out of our city budget, we are going to have to start to make those hard choices about, it's not when we cut, it would be how many employees we would cut from many various departments, whether it be police, fire, recreation, city hall. These are some really major cuts when you look at that large of a number. And so I hope that during the next few months, we will be able to come to this realization. And, our council, I think by acting this Wednesday and acting later this month to pass a resolution, hopefully will send a strong message to the Ulster County Legislature and to the county saying that, the City of Kingston needs to be able to have a stable, functional city government. And we cannot do that with that large of a reduction in our revenue. And so I hope that, we can make that case to the county legislature and to the county executive, and we can let them know that we need to have this action happen, and we need to have it happen soon. We have been learning a lot about sales tax in the last few weeks, more than I ever wanted to know about sales tax. But what we have been learning is that when this agreement expires, there are some unintended consequences that could happen to the City of Kingston. And those consequences could, for us, lead to a reduction in the amount of revenue that we will get immediately after the end of February. And I am imploring both the City Common Council and the County Legislature to come to an agreement on this issue before the end of this month so that we can go ahead and actually get this agreement renewed in its current form so that we have the next 5 years to really do the consolidation and the shared services that, our city would be willing to lead. We want to be able to, help our surrounding communities. We want to be able to work with the county. We want to be able to work with New York State on these shared services initiatives, but we need time. We can't pull the rug out immediately and think that we can still be able to have a stable government that delivers the services. And so I hope that today that I've made my position very clear, that we want to be able to enter into an agreement with the county. We want to be able to have our percentage left the same at 11.5, and we want to be able to make sure that going forward over the next few years that we can work hand in hand with our towns and county to be able to actually have the services that we all can deliver, but in a shared way. And we're very open to that in this administration, and I'm very excited about that work. I'm very excited about working with my department heads to find out additional ways for us to save money and to be able to save our tax resources, but it can't be done, I believe anyway, to the loss, to our community where we're impacting the services that we are by law meant to give. So that's sales tax. There are a couple of other issues that I would like to talk about, and then at the end, if folks have any questions, please feel free to ask at that point. I do want to let you know that we actually have some additional staffing updates. Just yesterday, our grant manager position was put up on our city website and put up on our Facebook page. So if you're interested or know of anyone that is qualified to write, respond to, administer our city's grants, that application is now up on our website and available. We hope that we'll get a great diverse group of people that are interested in applying and working for that city. We have a lot of grants that we're currently managing and a lot of grants out there that we could be securing. So we're excited to be able to get this person on staff as soon as possible. There also was, earlier this month, just shortly after our last press conference, we were able to refill a part of my position that I used to hold as an environmental educator. And so we will be, again, there's a job posted and an opening currently for a part-time environmental educator. And so again, that is on our city website. It's a position that I think is very important for us to be able to continue to deliver the services to our school community, our residents, all of the folks that use our park system on a daily basis. I think it's very important for that to be able to, be filled as quickly as possible. We have been having monthly department head meetings. These meetings have been very beneficial for me and my staff to be able to come together to discuss some of the issues that we're facing, as well as be able to pick a theme and focus on it. This past month, we focused on shared services, so I directed each department head to look at all of the services that they provide to other communities and that other communities provide to us, and to document that for me, as well as give me a list of other potential areas within their departments where shared services could be ascertained and where we could go ahead and actually have partnerships formed with various areas. And so I've been getting lots of that information back in the last few days, and so I'm very excited about that process and about where we're going to go with our staff. One of the things that we're also launching this upcoming week, Monday's a holiday, so it'll most likely go up on Tuesday next week. But for all of our boards and commissions, we have created a standardized application process, one where all of our boards and commissions will have the same application. An application will need to be filled out for our boards and commissions for those interested in serving as volunteers in the city, where we will be able to ascertain what skills they have and why they want to serve on a board, which we think will allow for the information gathering process about these individuals to be more clear, and will allow these individuals to be much more clear in how they are appointed to these boards and what their jobs are supposed to be on these boards, because many of them serve very important parts of our community, and these boards serve as a vital part of city government. And so we want to make sure that they are well suited and well prepared to take on that task. And so that will be launched next week, as well as a listing of all of the openings in each of the various boards that we have identified this year, and that we'll be looking to fill during this time period. Another process that we've also launched in the last week or so is our community development block grant process. We have as we do each year, we unroll a program where community members can apply for community development block grants for projects and programs in this community. It's designed for low income, at-risk, both youth and adults in this community in various areas. And so we, again, encourage the community to apply. There have been sessions that have been held all this week, both at the Roundup Neighborhood Center and at the Everett Hodge Community Center. And there are a few more scheduled. And so you can find more information out about our process on our website at www.kingston-ny.gov. Look for our economic and community development page, and it's got all of the information. It's also right on our homepage. And so that process, again, will continue for the next couple of months. Again, this is another process where we do work hand in hand with the Common Council. We have an advisory committee that reviews all of these applications with the Common Council members, and then those recommendations go to the full Common Council for review and approval. And again, we're very excited to be able to still get these federal funds. They have diminished over the years, but our city gets a little over $650,000 in federal entitlement funding to help deliver, I believe, much needed services to those in the community. And in particular, they're really focused on both our Midtown and our Roundout areas. And those are the two census tracts where this funding actually qualifies. Another initiative that we launched a few weeks ago that we'll give you an update on is we initiated a project called Welcome to Our Hometown. We went ahead and discussed internally how we could use our community's photos and the resources that were out in our community to make our internal publications better and to be able to have our community have a more of a interaction with us in City Hall. And so as part of our launch of our new visitors guide for 2016, we are doing this photo submission contest where folks are submitting all of their photos, and we're able to then use those in both our visitors guide, on our brochures, and on our Facebook and website, which we believe will bring much more depth to the types of photos that we've had in the past. We'll bring the creative minds that we have in the city together. To date, I think we've received over 120 submissions from 120 different individuals that have photos that they wanted to share, which was very great. It's very heartening to see the community come together on something which is not a huge issue, but it's something where when folks can feel that they can do something to help, they want to, and this was a great opportunity for them to do that. And so those are all of my major updates for this moment in time. If there are any questions about any of these topics or any of the topics that I didn't cover today, please feel free to let me know. Jesse.
Steve, could you go in a little more detail about the unintended consequences of that February 29th deadline? So the last time we spoke, you said that if that agreement February 29th came and went, things would continue unchanged until, I think you said June 30th was the actual deadline, so we had a little more time to negotiate. What's come to light since then? Sure.
So we had our comptroller's office and our corporation counsel office had an opportunity recently to discuss with the New York State Comptroller's office their opinion on what would happen when the contract expires. We had previously heard from the New York State Taxation Department about our timelines and that we have 6 months notice to give, and we've discussed some of this before. But what we learned, and at least the opinion of the person we spoke to, is that when this contract ends on February 29th, the county still cannot change their distribution, i.e. they still get 85.5%, and the towns in the city still get 14.5% of that. However, because the contract is no longer in place, it is up to the county to decide how they would like to disperse that 14.5%. And so they could choose to disperse it any way they wish after the contract ends. And so that is something that they still can't take it themselves, but they still have to disperse it. But they don't have to necessarily do it 11.5% to 3%. They could decide to do it by population. They could decide to do it by assessed value. They could decide to give us 5% and the town's 10%. They could decide however they chose And that's new to us. It's one opinion of someone in the comptroller's office, but what it does show us, though, is that because this is such a complicated issue and there are so many factors that are unknown related to sales tax, it's not something that should be decided lightly. And so we do need years to figure out a change in our sales tax agreement. And so I believe that the best course of action at this moment in time is to renew our current sales tax agreement for another 5 years at 11.5%, and then give us the next few years to work together to both do shared services, to do the work that I think we all want to do to make sure that we're not putting too much of a burden on our taxpayers. And I believe that it needs to now be done soon. I believe that I know the county doesn't want to hurt the city, and so I hope that they will not change their agreement with us, or they will still continue to act in good faith on the agreement once it expires and not change those ratios. But again, being that they don't have to, it's a concern of mine, and so that's why I'm going to urge the Common Council to come back early before the end of February and meet to pass this resolution regarding agreeing to a contract with 11.5%.
That information came from the state comptroller's office?
Yes.
No one in the county has communicated to you that, well, if this deadline passes, we may decide to alter this?
Correct.
No.
But you guys still definitely have, there's still definitely 6 months before it's expired. So September 1st, basically.
No. So this contract ends on February 29th.
Right.
And then
6 months from now is when you have to have a new.
So basically, in July is the deadline for them to give notice for us for the next fiscal year. They cannot change their distribution of that sales tax. So the county can only get 85.5% this year. But how they disperse that extra 14.5% is up to the county. And when this agreement expires, the agreement that they had to give us 11.5 and the town's 3 kind of disappears. And it's then up to them to decide for the next 8 months or so to January of 2017 how to disperse that. We hope that they'll continue to keep it the same in good faith, but it's again it's their prerogative at that point. And that's why I think it's important for us to enter into an agreement before it expires.
What leverage does the city have?
Well, I think that there are many options out there, and over the years, if you go way back in sales tax history, the city of Kingston instituted the first sales tax in Ulster County in 1967, I believe. We had a 2% sales tax. The county then negotiated with the city I think 10 years later. Again, my dates may be wrong, but at some point later on, the county negotiated with the city to allow them to take that 2% that we had and share it across the entire county, bringing in much more revenue for the county and really being able to give the county the tools and resources that they needed to operate a county of our size. And so at that time, they started entering into a negotiated settlement with the city to basically pay them for that. For their right to use our 2% tax and spread that across the county, they entered into an agreement with us to give us a larger share of the sales tax revenue of the county in exchange for that. And it has since operated that way ever since. Agreement after agreement, and yes, our rate may have changed from 8% and then it went to 10% and then it went to 11.5%. But over that time period, we have continued to allow the county to use our city sales tax to generate revenue outside the city. Whether you're in Lloyd or Saugerties or Woodstock, we gave up our rights to be able to make the county be able to bring in $100 million.
So can you take it back?
And we can. And so the city of Kingston can preempt, and we can go ahead and take our sales tax back. But I think as many have reported on, and when we look at the numbers, that's really, at our point, it's really it's a lose-lose situation. At the current situation, the county would lose $25–30 million or more off of their sales tax revenue because of us taking back our percent, because they are percent or two.
What percentage would you take back?
Well, and that's again a very technical legal question because we gave up 2. But currently the county has a 3% sales tax with an additional 1% that's added on that the assembly passes each year. There is some, technical guidance that say that the county would get 1.5 and we would get 1.5. So we could end up with 1.5. And that 1.5 would not equate because of, the sales tax generation in this city. We have no data to be able to look at, so we wouldn't know, and we would be putting a lot at risk for our residents because there is no way for us to know how much sales tax we generate, and that data is not available to us by the state. And the state doesn't currently track that data because there are no tax returns currently generated that people have to write our sales tax on. So there's no number for them to guesstimate even. So we do believe that with the county losing and us potentially losing, that is not a great tool to use. But for all of us, I do believe that it is important for the county to recognize the services that we provide as a city. We have our borders open to all residents of this county. Our parks are open to all residents of this county. Our healthcare facilities are open to all residents of this county. We provide the heart of this county. We are the county seat. We have opened our arms to everyone in this city, and I think that it's really important for the folks that are making this decision at the county level to recognize that, to also recognize what we have done with our sales tax to allow the county to grow over the years, and that with all of that, I believe that we have a very strong case to be able to keep our ratio at 11.5%.
And
Yeah.
would it still be the same, under your suggestion, would it still be the same, the town splitting the 3%?
Yeah, and that's what we and the towns have asked for. They've asked to stay the same, we've asked to stay the same, and the council has agreed that is the best also to stay the same, and it's yeah.
Have you been having conversations with the county legislature and the executive about this issue and trying to come to an agreement?
We have had some discussions with the county the county executive and a few members of the leadership of the legislature. They, our one meeting that has been held so far, we talked a lot in generalities about sales tax and about where the city stood, and they provide us with their kind of take on why they believe we need to give up some of our funding over the next couple of years, and that's really been the end of our conversations. We speak often, we speak frequently, but at this point, there's definitely there's a strong interest on our end to keep it the same. I think that there may be some interest on their end to change it, and it's just we have to find to see where we meet in the end. I don't know.
And when will you ask the council to come back to vote on that resolution?
Yeah, I'll be speaking with the president shortly, and hopefully they'll be able to come back before the end of the month.
And then when you were talking about looking forward long-term about shared services, do you have any specific ways that you want to share services beyond what the city already does?
Sure, and that's, so as I mentioned earlier, I've requested from all of my department heads a list of areas where they believe they could share services that they aren't already. And so I'm going to compile that list, and we're going to actually be able to then start to investigate each of the items on that list for both the opportunities, the drawbacks, how much it would cost, how much would we save, to really be able to flesh out some of both the easy low-hanging fruit things that we should have been doing already and we haven't been, but then there are going to be some of the more complicated pieces of the puzzle about where can we look to make whole shared services. For instance, if the City of Kingston Police Force wanted to work closer with the Town of Ulster Police Force, what would that look like? Could we share headquarters? Could we share a fleet of cars? What could we share that could maybe make some of those more lasting impacts? But those are things that would need to be studied and really looked hard at. And so I've asked for a list from all of my department heads.
Steve, are you tough enough to stand up to my time?
When I think that the City of Kingston and the 24,000 people that are here care deeply about our future, and I think that collectively we have a very strong voice. Thank you.
I got here a little late, and I think you addressed this question. This current formula has been in effect for 15 years.
Yep.
And 2 years before you signed off on the status quo.
Yeah.
Is there any sentiment about increasing the city and town shares?
You know, we've looked at our numbers, and you know, it would always be nice to have more money. We recognize that, but we do also recognize that, you know, our sales tax revenue is slowly growing in Ulster County, and so each year our sales tax has increased. Sometimes it increases by 0.5%. Sometimes it increases by 1.5%. This past year, a little over 3%. You know, and that for us has been enough. Those increases have helped sustain the city and has helped us keep up with inflation and rising costs of doing business. And so we're not asking for more. We're asking to continue to have the same percentage, and we want to continue to grow our economic, you know, opportunities here in Kingston and in the county. So we think it will continue to grow because we're delivering, you know, I believe uptown and downtown, a really good quality place for you to have your business. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any sense of being dictated to? This is a contract between all its parties, and the county is stating a figure. So is that the sense you got with the county that this is their number and that's it?
You know, I think that there are many folks in the county that are interested in talking about this. Everyone, I think, is coming to the table with their own background and their own interests. Some, I think, are saying, you know, yeah, we definitely need to cut the city. Some are saying, you know, well, maybe we could do it over 5 years. Some are saying, you know, we should leave it the same. You know, I got the sense that, you know, this was an agreement that really they waited until I was in office to talk about. I think that everyone's open about that. They didn't want to, you know, have this become a political issue or become part of, you know, the rhetoric during the campaign season. And so this is something that, you know, they decided they wanted to start talking to us about now. And in the past, you know, these negotiations would happen very, you know, quickly. There was really no interest from anyone to change these, other than they've only gone up since the 80s. And so it's really been something that has just happened and has been, you know, done quickly. Now, yeah, go ahead.
The so-called clawback, the rationale advanced has been essentially that you guys didn't have the money like they thought you should have, the county thought you should have, that you should have reduced taxes.
Yeah.
Instead, some localities put money into contingency.
Yeah. Sure, and so, and you did miss the good part, Hugh, before. I had my staff put together back from 2008 all of the real areas that we could point to say, look at what we've saved and look at what we have done actually since that same, you know, time that the, you know, and so we have saved millions of dollars, and we have a memo. I can share that memo with anyone that's interested after this. I can go down and make some copies for folks. So I think we'll lay out to folks what we've done. I think it was a good exercise on the part of our comptroller to do this anyway, to really look at where we've come from back in 2008 through now and what we've done. Really, I think paints a very different picture than what was painted by the executive. I think we have done, you know, because he runs county government, and he may not know the nuances of what we have to encounter. And so I think it was important for us to not get caught up in that broad sweep. We have done, I believe, what's been needed. And some of the administrations here in the past have had to make some tough decisions. You know, back in 2010, we laid off a large number of employees, and they're tough, and we understand that. But you know, we did it in a way that we knew we could still deliver the services. And the reduction of this 1.6 million really would hinder, based on all of my department head discussions with all of my departments. There's no way for us to pull that out of somewhere and make it right and continue to still pick up trash, to still have the same police protection, to have the same fire protection. We just can't do it.
So I can change gears a little bit from the sales tax issue to community
Great.
development,
Sure.
the block grant. Your predecessor put in place the BEAT program, Business Education, Arts and Technology.
Yep.
I believe a 5-year plan was passed, really with the intention of guiding that community development money in very specific ways to support a very specific plan. Is that plan going to guide this year's allocation?
Sure. The BEAD initiative is not, but the Midtown Revitalization Initiative, plan that is passed every 5 years. It's updated on an annual basis with the types of projects that we're doing, does guide the plan, especially in Midtown. We have because we've initiated that plan, it allows us to spend additional money in Midtown. Basically, there's a bar where it says that money for public services, programs for youth, programs for adults, that's limited to 15% of the total allocation. However, in an area where you have this revitalization plan, like we do in Midtown, you can exceed that cap. We have never exceeded that cap yet. We've never instituted that plan to exceed that cap. We're going to look at what we need to do, and if we have good proposals for Midtown and that can really help our community, I'm willing to invoke that plan, if you will, and exceed that cap.
You said for public services?
Yes.
Is that programming?
That's programming at the Hodge Center, the Roundhouse Center, programming at whether it's the library, the Boys and Girls Club. It's the program delivery, it's the program services, and so there is a cap there. But again, with this plan, it allows us to exceed that cap.
But the BEAD program is not going to guide this the way it did the last?
No.
Any reason?
Well, it's just the Midtown Revitalization Plan, I think covers much of what we need to cover in Midtown. I think it was a plan that was a few years in the making and really had a good amount of public comment and public participation. The former initiative you talked about was one mayor's plan, and now we have a new mayor. Yes?
What is the sales tax extension factor into this new situation?
So the additional 1% from the assembly that is granted and from the state, is that what you mean?
That's right.
Yeah, so that is a 2-year agreement. I think it's up next year. I don't see in my mind right now that this factoring into that.
Well, the so-called Cato crisis erupted in the summer of 2013, and around that time I recall the deadline was February 2014, which was 2 years ago, but everyone's saying it's now next year, which would make it 3 years.
Yeah.
Because that deadline was at the end of February of 2014. The whole thing blew up to summer before. Have you invited Kevin Cahill into these negotiations? He seems to be holding up a lot of cards regarding that 1%.
For us, that 1% doesn't come to the city. We're focused on the overall pool of money, and if at some point the county is only able to, leverage, 7% instead of 8%, we're still only going to get, a certain part of the pie for that 7%. And so, we're really focused right now on this agreement and making sure that, this agreement is passed and from both the council and the legislature in the next few weeks. And that's I think what's really important for us to focus on. And I've been at the negotiating table, and Kevin Cahill's not at that negotiating table, and it has not been discussed with the county, that 1%.
Over at Ways and Means, when they first brought this up at the County Ways and Means, they said that this whole issue, this immediate issue, is predicated on the safety net and the election costs,
Yep.
and that the county absorbing those costs, that's what this 1.5%, about 10% that you get here was based on back in the year 2000. So that by taking over the safety net, they're saying that some of these percentage points that was covering, right? And then when we get back to the Cahill crisis a couple of years ago, he was talking about the same thing. It was all about the safety net, and there was some kind of give and take, and it was confusing at the time, but now it seems to be coming more into focus, that Hein would be holding most of the cards here with this discussion you're having right now, but Kevin seems to be holding all the cards for 1% of all of it, because you have to go to the assembly to get that extra point up at the top.
Yeah, I think in the end, everyone wants to see Kingston be successful. And I think that in order for Kingston to be successful, we need to be financially stable. We've done our part over the last few years to be financially stable. We've increased our bond rating. We've cut down on our personnel costs. We've saved on energy costs. You know, we have done our part to do what we believe we can. And the county has done its part by doing what I think was the right thing to do and paying for safety net, paying for election costs, because it is a county issue. And again, you know, to kind of take that issue and to juxtapose it against the safety net and the sales tax issue, I just don't think is fair. And I really think it's important to just focus on the fact that if we want Kingston to be successful, we need to be able to have the revenue to be successful. So, and this, again, sales tax is our second highest level of revenue. Property taxes is 17 million. Sales tax, 12.6 million. I mean, they're close. And, you know, to reduce one of those by such a large number, again, would increase our property taxes in the city of Kingston by 10%. For our residents, and it's unsustainable for anyone here in the city to take a 10% tax rate increase, and that's with no other increases happening in our city budget, no other contracts, no other raises, anything. It's just, you know, 10% rate off the top, and we believe that that's unsustainable.
You're talking about you have union contracts also for renegotiation this year, so that would also factor into your sales tax.
Yeah, we've got 3 union negotiations that will be starting this upcoming summer, and you know that's both contracts expire at the end of the year, and so they're no matter what we do, we're going to have to be creative with our unions, and we're going to have everyone at the table with a mindset of, you know, we have to be able to have the city continue to stay in a positive direction financially over the next couple of years. So it's all going to factor in, and again, having sales tax thrown into the mix is just going to really challenge all of us. Yeah.
Have you guys started thinking about your backup plan as to how you would spend the money if you don't get the money?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if the county, you know, is unable to come to an agreement on our 11.5%, you know, we're going to have to, and they propose something much lower, we're going to have to really look hard at what public services we won't be able to deliver anymore, and that's really something that we don't want to have to get to that place.
And you mentioned preemption being a lose-lose for everyone. Does that mean the city likely won't look at that as an option?
You know, I think it all comes down to the numbers. We want to be able to get the most revenue to help reduce our property taxes for our city residents. And so if preemption gives us more than what the county is offering us, then of course we're going to preempt. If the county is offering us more than what we believe preemption would get us, then it's the financially right thing to do to join with the county and settle, because my interest is the interest of the residents. This is not about me, and it's not about my kind. It's about what is in the best interest of the residents of this city.
Are there services that the city could just stop providing that the county would then have to pick up in your place?
You know, it's tough. You know, the county historically does not offer a lot of services to the city. We don't have a sheriff's road patrol that patrols. We don't have, you know, again, UCAT operates outside of our city bounds for the most part of it. You know, we don't have the same type of city services that have been, you know, that towns get from the county. They don't maintain our roads. You know, there's just those types of things that are different about a county and a city. And that's why the sales tax law and everything was written the way it was, because it was designed for counties and cities to be able to raise revenue to help take care of its environment. Okay, thank you all for coming today. We'll see you in a few weeks.